Hello, my name is Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about there is no thinker. Now, it's by and large, a lot of people identify with thought. They identify themselves as the thinker of the thoughts. And it's worth delving into to see clearly, profoundly, experientially, the truth of this matter. Now, it could be in a moment of silence when we're not really thinking, or uh, after self inquiry and there's a silence, or being very still, silent, fully aware, 100% devoted to the feeling, experiencing the body. There might be a silence of mind. Or you could just watch the gap between thoughts. As a thought ends, kind of watch for the next thought. And it's almost like the intention to watch for the next thought, the gap lengthens. And so in this gap between thoughts, or when there isn't thoughts, when the stream of thoughts is at a standstill and there is no thought, just look deeply. What's there? Well, one, there's no thought to identify with, but also there is no thinker. There's no thinker there. And this can be seen quite clearly in the absence of thoughts. But even when you're thinking and thoughts are arising, if you claim to be the thinker, you would think that to claim to be the thinker, you'd have to have a fair amount of control over thought. But we don't control our thoughts. We have random thoughts arising all the time. We're not thinking them. They're arising. They're happening. It's a function of the brain to have thoughts percolate up. And by and large, most thoughts are thoughts we've had before. They're habitual, repeating thoughts. They're not something new. They're just a reaction. Something happens, and a thought arises in reaction to this automatically. This is what the brain does. With will, or as being able to make a choice, can we direct thought a little bit? Well, yeah, you can have the intent that I'm going to think about whatever, and then the brain will very helpfully start feeding thoughts in that direction. But as soon as you stop guiding the direction through intent, it will just meander off in random directions. And depending on how habitualized the mind is to constantly creating thoughts, even when you try to direct a direction of thought, other random thoughts will keep appearing. Any beginning meditator will know this, because in some teachings, I don't really agree that it's meditation, but it's more concentration. But they'll say, well, focus on something, and they'll focus on one thought or feeling or something. And as you focus, the intent is I'm focused on this. And next thing you know, random thoughts start popping up, totally unrelated. And that's because you can intend to think in a certain direction, but even then, if it's a bandwidth issue. I've mentioned this before, but it's like conscious awareness has so much bandwidth. And the more bandwidth available, that's not used, the brain will just put in random thought. The brain will just put in random thought. Just like it's possible to be so in the mind, so deep in thought, that as you're walking, you can bump into a lamp pole because you simply didn't see it. It's possible to be so with the moment, so with the feeling, experiencing of the moment, that no thought arises because you've eaten up all the bandwidth with the experiencing and feeling of the moment. And so when you're focusing your thought on one thing, if it's a very simple thing, and a lot of times when these teachers are teaching meditation this way, which again, I don't agree it's really a meditation, it's concentration. But when you're concentrating on a specific thing, it's not eating up the full bandwidth. And so the mind goes erratic. So it's quite clear that you aren't thinking these thoughts, they are arising. If you had any real choice, you'd be focused on this one thing. And when there's no thought at all, when the mind is silent, there's no thinker at all. I mean, the whole idea of a thinker is an afterthought. A thought arises, and then another thought follows it saying, I thought that thought. I'm the thinker of that thought. There's just a thought of a thinker claiming the prior thought. And so the thinker is an afterthought. It too is a thought. The thinker doesn't really exist. Thoughts just arise from the brain, and then thought tries to claim it, going, I thought that. And so if you delve into, like I said, it's important to delve in the gap between thought or in the silence of mind. It's important to see in the total absence of thought that there's no thinker. There's no one there to claim anything. Now, somewhat related is observer. There is no observer either, because that's an afterthought. There is seeing, there is hearing, and then the thought arises, I saw that, I heard that, I'm the seer, I'm the observer. This is afterthought. This is within thought a me of some kind claiming ownership of I'm the one who did this. But in the total absence of thought, when the mind is silent, there's no thought, there's just awareness. There's just the observation through awareness. But there's no observer. No one need claim it. But this must be seen very clearly, very profoundly, almost kinesthetically, viscerally. You need to see that in the absence of thought, there's no one claiming anything. There's no thinker, there's no observer. There's just awareness. And so something to play with, something to delve into. If you have any questions, comments, please post below. And until next time, thank you much.